Hello, everyone, and welcome into Orange Zone as a part of CNY Central's YouTube page. I'm Tommy Sladak. This is Jonathan Singh. This will be your spot for Orange football and Orange basketball. And this week we have an early one because it's a Friday night game for Syracuse football against Liberty. John, an early week, I know as someone that went to SU, it's always exciting to get that Friday night energy.
Especially if you're a student, because most students on campus don't have class on Friday, so it gives them an extra day to have some more fun.
Right, exactly. Gets the weekend going, right? SU 2-1, taking on an undefeated Liberty team. This is where Syracuse stands so far through their first 3 games, if we want to bring that up right now. Beating Ohio week 1, 29-9, the defense not allowing any touchdowns. Week 2 is where we saw that home opener loss to Rutgers, John, 17-7, and that was an offense that just couldn't get it together.
Right, and the talk around town was give Sean Tucker more carries. When you give a guy with that caliber more touches, good things happen, and we saw that against Albany last week because they scored 62 points. Sean scored a lot of them.
And something that was consistent through all 3 games were the penalties. They just kept on coming. Last week, for 159 yards, that set a program record. We saw Sean Tucker break a program record. This one wasn't a good one, and it's something that needs to be figured out because this Liberty team has a quarterback that is going to get it done without some penalties in his favor if we want to bring up Liberty's first 3 games. And the Flames,
are flaming hot.
They can.
3-0, Tommy. They're 3-0.
Good. 3-0. Only one game, which was the Troy, which wasn't settled by 4 touchdowns or more. But at the same time, you look at that strength of schedule, nothing crazy. But Liberty's, they're a new team to the FBS. They've only been here for a few years, but have certainly made a splash. And, they know how to score.
And for Liberty and SU, I think this will be the biggest matchup for both teams this season before conference play starts. And earlier this week, Tommy, we heard from head coach Dino Babers.
We've got some guys in the training room that are banged up, and we got to get them back healthy, and that's going to be really important for our success this week. When it comes to the situation of the quarterbacks, we're still in the evaluation going on with them. I'm not going to be announcing anything right here because it'll be a tactical advantage for our opponent. But in the order of they will know first, the team will know second, and the media will know third. Hopefully it's that order.
So, Tommy, what's up with the SU quarterback situation? Right now it seems like Tommy DeVito and Garrett Schroeder are taking turns. We saw both quarterbacks get action in all games this season. 4 weeks in until the college football season, and SU still doesn't have a solid number 1 starter.
Baber said from the jump, he goes, I want this quarterback battle to be black and white. I want there to be a clear number 1. You have Tommy DeVito returning from last year, only played 4 games, but still a returner starter at the beginning of that 2020 season. And then you have Garrett Schroeder. He's a transfer from Mississippi State, had a really nice freshman season, coaching change. He really lost that playing time. He looked for an opportunity up here at Syracuse. And I think there were a few people this summer and over the spring that thought he would just come right in, swoop it up.
Nope.
That's not what we've seen, nor have we seen it be black and white either from training camp or in the games. We are still in that gray area. And like we talked about, neither guy has been stellar. Neither guy has been bad. It's
still an open audition. And earlier this week, we heard from head coach Dino Babers, and he says when teams have to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, such as what Liberty has to do, it makes it tougher for the opposition. We also spoke with former SU running back Damian Rhodes, and he says SU needs to figure out this quarterback situation sooner than later. Here we are 4 weeks into the 2021 season, and SU doesn't officially have a starting quarterback. Is that concerning?
Yeah, because if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, right? So, I mean, we don't really have one totally. I think if this team wants to build an offense sustainable for the rest of the season, especially as the conference play starts to begin, once we get past the Liberties of the world, we're going to have somebody that we can say, hey, this is our guy, let's go play. If we keep going back and forth, it means we have not done a good enough job developing the quarterback. Tommy's been here long enough. I don't know how much true development I've seen in his play from day 1 to day where he is now.
Well, Tommy, that's the quarterback situation on the SU sideline. Meanwhile, on the Liberty side, it doesn't seem like they're having many quarterback issues at all. In fact, they probably have one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the nation, Malik Willis. He's good.
Yeah, there's no question in terms of him being a QB1 so far. And
right.
Just from the high, it doesn't take, I'll say this, it doesn't take long at all to realize how much of a special player this is.
He's a baller.
He's a baller. He's a transfer from Auburn, obviously recruited there for a reason.
Yeah.
He sees an opportunity at Liberty and really has made the most of it. And one of those is he's not just a dual threat quarterback. When he's running,
he's like a running back.
He's a serious issue. And as you're seeing right now in some of these clips, he's not a guy that's going to go and slide. He's ready to bang around. He's like it's like a pinball machine with this dude. He's ready to bounce off the defenders. And so even if this front three is able to get some pressure on him, say Syracuse ends up blitzing a linebacker or two, he has the room and he has the confidence to just peel out. And that's what we've seen kill these first three teams is he gets rushed a little bit. Boom, he just takes up the field for 15 yards. And when you're doing that over and over again, it adds up.
He's very hard to defend. 11 touchdowns on the year, 7 passing, 4 rushing, so he can affect you in multiple ways. We heard from Malik Willis earlier this week, Tommy, and he says that this SU defense is better than it was last year, and he says that makes it more competitive for him as a player and more competitive and exciting for you as a fan.
They definitely look good on film. I was very excited. I was like real happy. I was like, dang, they look real good. Like, that's cool. Just to see, like, we all work hard, you know? So I just find it encouraging when you see teams get better each year. And it was just really cool to see that. I was like, yeah, that's what's up.
And it didn't take long during Dino Babers' press conference for him to be asked about Malik Willis, a player that certainly he and his coaches have come together and say, this is going to be a big guy to stop. And he reiterated what we had already talked about,
right,
which was this guy is
an animal.
He's an animal. He's different. He's really not too many people like him in college football.
He's a quarterback that can throw the football, okay? And he throws a good deep ball. He throws a good short ball. But he runs so strong. I'm not going to call him a running back because he's not. But God, he does not run like a running quarterback. He's better than that.
And it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. He could be winning the Heisman. End of the day, there's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. And Liberty, this is a team game. And they clearly have some other weapons on the field and people that Syracuse football needs to know about. You talk to a guy that knows just that.
I spoke to Damian Sordelet. He's a beat reporter for Liberty football. He has us covered with the X's and O's. Damian, take it away.
My question here to you is, were any of the Liberty players talking about Sean Tucker and the SU run game at all? Was that mentioned?
The coaching staff is well aware of him. Tucker was one of only 3 players to rush for more than 100 yards against Liberty last season. The other 2 were Devontae Price from FIU and Hendon Hooker from Virginia Tech. They said they had a lot of respect for Tucker going into the game, and they had much more respect for him after the game, and they have even more respect for him in this game because just of what he's able to do in setting the tone for that offense behind that revamped offensive line. You know, that game against Albany, he put up some video game numbers. That's type I would put up playing Madden.
Well, Tommy, we saw what happened last year when Liberty came to Central New York, enter the Carrier Dome, win a football game 38-21, no big deal for them. Came on the field after, took a nice, beautiful picture because it's the first time they ever beat an ACC team, especially on the road, to do it inside the Carrier Dome. They said it was a really big deal for them. The players we spoke to this week aren't too happy. They're calling this game a personal one. It's a grudge match. It's a big rematch.
If they were on this team last year, they remembered it. And normally you see the players when we're talking to them earlier in the week kind of beating around the bush. It's very
cliche.
It's cliche. It's generic in terms of their opponent. This one, they were completely open and fine with saying, yeah, we're fired up about this one. We're fired up about how it ended in terms of what went on kind of after the game and just the meaning for Liberty of beating a team like Syracuse. And yeah, for them, it's redemption time.
approaching it the same, preparation the same. It's just more personal.
We definitely didn't like how it went down last year. We plan on sending a message of how we didn't like how it went down last year.
Last year we felt like we got embarrassed out there, so it's a different type of week. We're trying to come back and show them that last year was a fluke.
Tommy, SU wraps up their 3-game homestand in the Dome. They look to go over 500 as they finish their non-conference schedule before Florida State to open up ACC play. Carrier Dome has been rocking. You've been in the press box. You've seen it all.
And this isn't a sellout Carrier Dome. And I think even if we were seeing an AP top 25 team, it just wouldn't be filled. And that is because, well, there's still a pandemic going on, unfortunately.
True.
And so that does play an impact in terms of people's comfortability in getting to the game. What we saw in that Rutgers game, that home opener, was I think the attendance number was a little bit under 32,000. It
was a good crowd.
Lower bowl fill, upper bowl, hard to judge exactly, but they were loud. They played an impact,
right,
especially on those third downs, and Rutgers really struggled because of it. Albany, as you expect, after losing a game like that, it's just going to knock off a little bit. Not as great as a competition, definitely a smaller crowd. But when you're leading up to a third straight home game against a team like Liberty on a Friday night, this is a coach that's going to want that difference in the crowd.
Tommy, and having a crowd during a pandemic is better than no crowd at all.
The first message is thank you so much for coming out, and thank you for being a part of it. And watch, if you liked what you've seen, come back. Liberty is going to be a heck of a game. If you haven't liked what you've seen, come back so you can boo and be heard. But the key thing is get in there and come back. Let's fill that place up, and let's show people what Syracuse is all about all the way across the nation on Friday night.
Well, before we wrap things up, we obviously got to get to the keys of the game.
And predictions.
We have predictions,
the
baby.
Juicy stuff.
The juicy stuff. It's that time. Liberty coming in as a 6-point favorite, so right around a touchdown, and one of the bigger spreads that we've seen so far in these first 3 games. But I think you have quite a number of people that either think this could end up being a win for Syracuse, or at the very least covering that spread.
Well, if we don't say Syracuse wins, we're going to get booed out of this place. Anyways, you want 3 keys to this game?
Hit me.
Stop Malik Willis. That could be hard to do, but you can try your best. Defense has to do their job. And honestly, penalties. Limit the penalties. Give yourself good field position on both sides of the ball. If you can do that, you have a small, slim chance of winning this game. Before I give you my prediction, what are your takes?
Well, I think right off the bat, it is the penalties that it just needs to stop. It's been consistent, and it's been a chronic problem for this team, and one that 100% impacted a Rutgers game that was a winnable it was a winnable matchup.
For sure.
So penalties need to be under control. Anything in the double digits, it just can't be happening. Number 2 is it's containing Malik Willis, and so specifically I think it's these SU linebackers that I'm going to be looking to, the Michael Jones, the Marlowe Waxes of the world. That, for the most part, is going to be their priority, especially if this defense is getting pressure on him. He's going to be poking out. It's going to be up to those 2 to make sure he doesn't have a monster game.
So give me a score.
Number 3 is going to be, we just need some consistency at quarterback. Final score, I've gone back and forth on this. I was thinking higher score earlier in the week.
But
guy. Every week that I kind of have that projection, it really ends up being off of it. So I think I'm going low on this one.
How
I think
low?
It's going to be an SU win by 14-9.
14-9.
14-9.
I'll take the orange.
Sorry, excuse me. 14-10. There's going to be a Malik Willis touchdown and a field goal.
You heard it from him. I'll take the orange here, Tommy, going 28-21 SU.
Look at that.
Now, if they win the
Money
game,
line.
Don't storm the field. It's too early for that, right?
It's a big season ahead, and they have Florida State in the beginning of October, starting a 2-week road trip before we're back here talking about another Friday night Clemson game. But anyway, Liberty, SU, Friday night, 8 o'clock kickoff at the Carrier Dome. Make sure you're looking out for those new lights on the dome. They're really going to be shining on that Syracuse skyline. I'm Tommy Sladek. This is Jonathan Singh, Orange Zone. We're out of here till next week.
We'll see ya.